The gavel cracked like a gunshot in the stale air of the courtroom, and my father's voice sliced through the echo. "You were never mine to begin with, Lucas." I froze, the words landing like a punch to the gut, unraveling every thread of the life I'd built on half-truths and forced smiles. In that split second, as the judge's eyes widened and the gallery gasped, I saw it all, the forgery on the will, the stolen millions meant for Mom's memory, and the ghost of her secret staring back from Dad's guilty face. It was the summer of 2018 in Brooklyn, New York, where the brownstones leaned like old confidants over sidewalks cracked by time and too many regrets. I'd grown up in one of those row houses on Pacific Street, the kind with creaky oak floors and a backyard fig tree that Mom used to swear bore fruit sweeter than any lie. Back then, life was a Polaroid snapshot. Me at 12, gap-toothed and gangly, chasing fireflies with my best friend Mason while Dad grilled burgers on the stoop, and Mom hummed show tunes from the kitchen window. But Polaroids fade, and so did the illusion. Mom died when I was 16. Ovarian cancer, the doctors said, quick and merciless, like a thief in the night. She left behind a modest estate. Nothing extravagant, but enough to fund dreams. A trust for my college, a little nest egg for the family bakery she'd always talked about expanding. Dad handled it all, his broad shoulders sagging under the weight of grief and executor duties. He was the rock, the provider, the man who taught me to throw a curveball and tie a Windsor knot. I loved him fiercely, even when his silences stretched like the East River at dusk. But love has a way of curdling when money's involved. Fast forward a decade. I'm 26, a junior associate at a midtown law firm scraping by on ramen and righteous indignation. I'd clawed my way through NYU law on scholarships and student loans, fueled by the fire of proving I wasn't just the sensitive kid who cried at ET reruns. That's when the letter arrived, innocuous in its crisp envelope, postmarked from a probate office in Queens. "Dear Mr. Harlan," it began, "we regret to inform you." Regret was right. The trust. My trust, the one Mom had earmarked for me in her will, was gone. Siphoned off into Dad's accounts over the years, masked as administrative fees and investments that never bore fruit. $200,000, vanished like smoke from a Marlboro. I sat at my Formica desk in my one-bedroom walk-up, the city humming outside like an indifferent beast, and felt the first crack in my chest. I confronted him that night over takeout lo mein in his Park Slope condo, the one he'd bought after selling our family home, claiming it was too full of ghosts. Dad, silver at the temples now, his once athletic frame softened by craft beers and board meetings, didn't even look up from his plate. "Times were tough, Luke. The bakery folded after your mom. I did what I had to." His voice was gravelly defensive, the same tone he'd used when I came out at 18, whispering over the phone from my dorm. "I love you, son, but this is a phase. You'll see." It wasn't a phase, and neither was the theft. I hired a PI on credit, the kind who chain smokes Camels and digs up dirt like it's dandelions. 2 weeks later, evidence piled up. Forged signatures, backdated transfers, a paper trail as crooked as the subway tracks under Manhattan. Rage boiled in me, hot and unyielding, the kind that turns a boy into a man with a vendetta. I sued him. Not for the money, not really. For the betrayal, the erasure of Mom's last gift. The way he'd chipped away at our history until it was just rubble. That's when Mason re-entered the picture, like a plot twist in one of those gritty Scorsese films we used to binge on VHS. We hadn't spoken in years. Not since high school graduation when he hugged me goodbye on the steps of Erasmus Hall. His cologne lingering like a promise unkept. Mason Reyes, with his easy grin and olive skin that glowed under Brooklyn street lamps, had been my first everything. First crush, first kiss behind the bleachers during a rain-soaked football game, first heartbreak when he ghosted me for a scholarship to Columbia. "It's not you, Luke," his note had said, tucked into my locker. "It's the world. We can't." Now, here he was, striding into my firm's conference room as lead counsel on a pro bono referral. 30, broader in the shoulders, his dark hair cropped military short, but those hazel eyes still held the mischief of our youth. He wore a charcoal suit that hugged his frame just right, and when he extended his hand, the calluses from weekend pickup basketball games roughened his palm. "Lucas Harlan. God, it's been forever. You look good. Tired, but good." I swallowed hard, the air thick with unspoken summers. Mason. Yeah. Life's a bitch. We laughed, awkward and genuine, and just like that, the past cracked open, spilling sunlight into the shadows. He took the case, no questions asked. Family law's my wheelhouse now, he said over coffee at a corner diner on Flatbush, steam rising from our mugs like confessions. But this is personal. Your dad, he's a bully in a boardroom, but blood? That's sacred. His knee brushed mine under the table, accidental at first, then deliberate, and I felt the spark, that old electricity humming between us. We talked for hours. His divorce from a college sweetheart who'd never quite understood his bisexuality. My string of ghosted Tinder dates. The way Brooklyn had changed us both. Gentrified hipsters in beanies where bodegas used to stand. As weeks blurred into depositions, Mason became my anchor. Late nights poring over documents in his cramped office overlooking the Gowanus Canal, the water black and oily under sodium lights. He'd crack open a six-pack of Yangling, and we'd trade stories. Mason's abuela's tamales that could cure a broken heart. My failed attempt at stand-up comedy in a dive bar off Bedford. One evening, after a brutal cross-exam of Dad's accountant who crumbled like stale biscotti, Mason turned to me, his face illuminated by the glow of his laptop. You're brave, you know that? Most guys would have let it slide. Family ties and all. I shrugged, heat rising in my cheeks. Brave or stupid? Pick one. Our eyes locked, and the room shrank, the canal's murmur fading to white noise. He leaned in, slow and sure, his lips brushing mine tentative at first, then deepening with the hunger of lost time. It was a kiss like coming home, to the fig tree's shade, to firefly jars on the porch. No rush, no frenzy. Just two men reclaiming what the world had tried to steal. We fell into it gently, that romance, like autumn leaves settling on Prospect Park paths. Weekends at his place in Cobble Hill, cooking paella from his mom's recipe, laughing over episodes of The Wire until dawn. He traced the scar on my knuckle from a childhood bike crash, whispering, I missed this, missed you. And I believed him, because in his arms, the lawsuit felt bearable, the betrayal a distant thunder. But thunder rolls in, doesn't it? Dad's lawyers dragged their feet, filing motions that painted me as the ungrateful son, the lifestyle choice kid who'd squandered his potential. Whispers in the courthouse halls. Harlan's boy, yeah, the gay one, figures he'd air dirty laundry. Mason shielded me, fierce and unyielding, but I saw the toll, the shadows under his eyes, the way he'd grip my hand tighter during breaks, as if bracing for a storm. The pretrial hearing hit like a nor'easter. Dad took the stand, his voice steady as he spun tales of sacrifice. I gave that boy everything. College, a start in life. This suit, its spite pure and simple. His eyes met mine across the room, cold as the Hudson in January, and for a flicker, I saw not the thief, but the father who'd bandaged my scraped knees, who'd sobbed at Mom's funeral until his tie was soaked. I wanted to hate him clean through, but doubt wormed in. What if he was right? What if Mom's trust was a myth? Her love conditional on the son I pretended to be. Mason sensed it, pulling me aside in the marble lobby, his hands framing my face. Hey, this isn't about him winning. It's about you claiming what's yours. Your mom. She'd want that. His thumb brushed my lip, grounding me, and I nodded, steeling for the trial. Little did I know, the real trial was just beginning. As opening arguments loomed, Mason's phone buzzed incessantly. Calls from an ex, he said, brushing it off. I trusted him, blind as faith. But secrets, like inheritance, have a way of surfacing, rotten and insistent. The trial opened on a drizzly October morning in the Supreme Court of Kings County. The kind of gray day that makes Gotham feel like it's holding its breath. I sat in the plaintiff's box, my palms slick against the armrest, the scent of lemon polish and old law books thick in the air. Mason stood at the podium, all sharp angles and quiet command, his voice carrying like a subway rumble. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about trust, broken, forged, and stolen from a grieving son. Dad's side countered with slick efficiency. Their lead a shark named Hargrove from some white shoe firm uptown, all veneers and veiled barbs. Mr. Harlan Sr. acted as any father would, protector, provider. The plaintiff? A man embittered by personal choices, lashing out at the hand that fed him. The jury? A mix of tired commuters and wide-eyed retirees, shifted uncomfortably, and I felt their eyes on me, weighing, judging. Evidence unfolded like a house of cards. Bank statements stamped with Mom's looping signature. Emails from Dad to his broker rerouting funds to a Cayman account. Mason dismantled it all, his questions precise as a scalpel. Mr. Harlan, you claim these transfers were necessary investments. Yet here's the ledger, zero returns. Where did the money go? Dad squirmed on the stand, his face flushing under the fluorescent glare, muttering about market fluctuations and unforeseen expenses. Through it all, our stolen moments sustained me. After hours, we'd escape to the Brooklyn Heights promenade, the skyline twinkling like a promise across the river. Mason would wrap his arms around me from behind, chin on my shoulder, murmuring, "We're building something real here, Luke. Not just winning a case, winning us." His breath warm against my neck, the city lights blurring through unshed tears, and I'd turn, kissing him slow, tasting salt and hope. It was romantic in that raw American way, two guys against the machine finding poetry in the grit. But cracks spiderwebbed. One night, post a grueling day of witness testimonies, I found Mason on his balcony, phone pressed to his ear, voice low and urgent. "I told you it's over. Don't call again." He hung up when I stepped out, forcing a smile. Ex-drama. Nothing. But his eyes darted, and later, scrolling his contacts while he showered, I saw the name. Elena M., the wife he'd divorced, or so he'd said. Heart pounding, I pocketed the doubt, chalking it up to paranoia. Love makes fools of us all. The turning point came mid-trial during Dad's direct examination. Hargrove lobbed softballs, building sympathy. Dad's war stories from Vietnam, his rise from longshoreman to real estate mogul, the sacrifice of raising a headstrong boy alone. Then Mason rose for cross, his demeanor calm as a millpond. "Mr. Harlan, let's talk about Eleanor, your late wife. She established this trust specifically for Lucas, did she not?" Dad nodded, throat bobbing. Ellie wanted him set for life. Art school, whatever path he chose. Even if that path diverged from your expectations? Mason's tone sharpened, and the room tensed. He slid exhibits across the table. Letters from Mom, yellowed and fragile, pulled from her safety deposit box I'd cracked open on a whim. "Read this one, dated 2015, the year before her death. To my Lucas, my light, chase your truths, not mine. The money's yours, for the life you build, unapologetically." Dad's face drained of color. Objection. Relevance. Sustained. The judge rapped, but the damage lingered, a seed of humanity in the jury's eyes. That night, victory tasted bittersweet. Mason and I celebrated quietly at a hole-in-the-wall taqueria on 5th, tacos dripping with cilantro and lime, his foot hooked around my ankle under the table. "You're killing it," I said, clinking our Dos Equis. He grinned, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Team effort, babe." Later, in bed, his lovemaking was fervent, hands mapping my body like sacred ground. But I woke to him slipping out at 3 a.m., murmuring excuses about case prep. The betrayal hit like a freight train 2 days later. I'd swung by his office unannounced, armed with coffee and a reckless heart, only to find the door ajar. Voices filtered out. Mason's, laced with exhaustion. "Elena, I can't keep doing this. The divorce papers are filed. It's done." A woman's laugh, sharp as shattered glass. "Filed? Or stalled? You think I don't know about him? The plaintiff? Parading your little affair in court." I pushed in, the world tilting. Elena, tall, blonde, fierce in Lululemon, sat across from him, wedding bands glinting on both their fingers. Mason's face crumpled. "Luke, wait." She smirked, gathering her bag. "Oh, honey, you didn't know?" Mason here's still very much married. Playing house while the ink dries? Classic. The door clicked shut behind her, and the silence roared. "It's not like that," he stammered, reaching for me. "She's contesting the divorce, dragging it out for the alimony. I was going to tell you after the trial. I swear." Lies or half-truths. My chest caved, the lawsuit's venom seeping into us. You used me? I whispered, the words foreign on my tongue. The case, the romance. Some redemption arc? I stormed out, the rain-slick streets blurring as I ran, sobs choking me like river water. The next morning, court resumed, but I was a ghost in my own skin. Mason avoided my gaze, his questions to witnesses mechanical. The fire dimmed. Dad's team pounced, sensing blood. More motions, delays, whispers of settlement. I refused, stubborn as Brooklyn bedrock, but inside, I fractured. Who was I fighting for now? Mom's ghost? Or a vengeance that mirrored Dad's own greed? Climax brewed in the jury's deliberation. 2 agonizing days where time stretched like taffy. I holed up in my apartment, ignoring Mason's texts. Please, talk to me. And Dad's curt voicemails. Drop it, son, for your mother's sake. On the 3rd day, as thunder rumbled over the harbor, the call came, verdict in 1 hour. Mason cornered me in the hallway. "Ty Askew." Desperation raw. "Luke, I fucked up. But I love you, have since we were kids stealing smokes from the corner store. Elena's poison. You're the antidote." His hand trembled on my arm, eyes pleading. I wanted to believe, to fold into him like a well-worn map. But trust, once shattered, cuts deep. "Prove it," I said, voice breaking. "Walk away from her. For real." He nodded, fierce. "I will. Today." We entered the courtroom as strangers' allies, the air electric with fate. The foreman rose, envelope in hand, and my heart hammered like a jackhammer on asphalt. We, the jury, find in favor of the plaintiff, Lucas Harlan, awarding the full trust principal plus interest and punitive damages in the amount of $500,000. The words hung, then erupted gasps, the scrape of chairs, Hargrove's muttered curse. Dad slumped, face ashen, while I sat numb, the gavel's echo reverberating in my bones. Victory, but hollow, tasting of ash and Elena's lipstick stain on Mason's collar. Mason's hand found mine under the table, a lifeline in the chaos, but I pulled away, the sting fresh. Reporters swarmed as we exited, flashes popping like fireworks over Coney Island. "Mr. Harlan, thoughts on the win? Reconciliation with your father?" I mumbled platitudes, justice served, and fled to the rain-lashed steps, Mason trailing like a shadow. That night, alone in my apartment, the walls closed in. I uncorked a bottle of cheap Cabernet, toasting to ghosts. Mom's laugh echoing in empty rooms, the fig tree felled for condos. My phone lit with notifications, well wishes from colleagues. A curt email from the court's clerk confirming the wire transfer. Wealth, unearned and unwanted, stared back from my screen. What now? A down payment on forgiveness? Dawn broke gray, and I drove to the old neighborhood, tires hissing on wet pavement. Dad's condo loomed, a glass monolith mocking our brownstone past. He answered the door in a threadbare robe, eyes red-rimmed, the mogul stripped bare. "Luke." No fight left, just weariness. We sat on his balcony, city sprawl unfolding below like a rumpled quilt. Coffee steamed between us, black as the truth we dodged. "Why?" I finally asked, voice raw. "Mom's money, our money. You needed it for what? Yachts? Mistresses?" He sighed, rubbing his temples.
Survival, son.
"After Ellie, the medical bills buried me. Then the market crashed, clients jumped ship. I thought I could flip it, make it right. Pause heavy as lead. But that's not all. There's something you should know about your mother." My pulse quickened, the air thickening. "What?" He fetched a shoebox from his study, dust motes dancing in the light. Inside, letters, photos, a locket with intertwined initials, H and VS Victoria Sinclair. Ellie's college roommate at Barnard. They were in love. Before me, during, always in a way. The world tilted. Photos showed Mom, radiant in bell-bottoms, arm in arm with a striking woman, dark curls, defiant smile, against a backdrop of 70s Greenwich Village cafes. Letters, passionate and coded. "My darling V. In this man's world, we steal moments like fireflies." Dad's voice cracked. "I knew. Met Vic at the wedding. Awkward as hell. But Ellie chose me, or tried to. The life, the family. When she got sick, Vic came back. Nursed her those last months. The trust? Ellie set it up with Vic's help. Half her savings from a gallery job, funneled through me as executor. She wanted you free, Luke. To live without hiding, like she did. Tears blurred the ink. Mom, my beacon of unwavering love, had her own closet, padlocked by an era that branded love like hers as sin. The betrayal reframed. Dad hadn't just stolen money. He'd buried her truth, perhaps to protect it, or himself. Why hide it? I whispered. Fear, he admitted, shoulders sagging. Of losing you like I lost her. And you coming out, it stirred it all up. I panicked, doubled down on the straight and narrow. But I was wrong. About the money, about you. We talked till noon, words tumbling like autumn leaves. Apologies, anecdotes, the ache of what-ifs. Not absolution, but a bridge, rickety, rain-slick. But there, as I left, he pressed the locket into my palm. Give it to Vic if you find her. She's in the village still, runs a bookstore off Bleecker. I did that afternoon. Victoria Sinclair, silver-haired now, sharp as a stiletto in a sun-faded sundress, welcomed me into her shop. Shelves groaning with queer lit and first editions, the air scented with patchouli and fresh pages. Over chamomile tea, she wept, tracing Mom's photo. She was my North Star, Lucas. Fierce, funny. Taught me to fight for what matters. Stories flowed. Stolen weekends in the Catskills. Coded telegrams during Mom's business trips. Ellie adored you, Vic said, eyes twinkling. Said you had her heart, and her stubborn streak. Driving back, Manhattan's pulse sinking with mine. I felt unburdened. Mom's secret, a lantern illuminating my own path. No fairy tale fix, but human, messy, redemptive. Mason waited on my stoop, drenched but determined, a manila envelope in hand. Divorce decree, he said, holding it out like an olive branch. Final today. No more games. His eyes, vulnerable, searched mine. I lied by omission, and it gutted me. But losing you? That's not an option. I studied him. The boy who'd kissed me in the rain. The man who'd fought for my truth. Betrayal's scar lingered, but so did the spark. We start slow, I said, unlocking the door. Coffee dates, not courtrooms. He grinned, that old mischief alight. Deal. But can we add walks in the park? And maybe, someday, that bakery your mom dreamed of. We did. Months blurred. Therapy sessions unpacking generational ghosts. Weekend brunches with Vic spinning Mom's tales. Dad's tentative emails evolving to Sunday dinners. Awkward, but thawing. Mason and I rebuilt brick by brick. First dates at the Botanic Garden, hands clasped under cherry blossoms. Arguments over takeout that ended in laughter. Quiet nights where he'd read poetry. Whitman, of course, his voice a bomb. One spring evening, a year post-verdict, we stood on the promenade, skyline ablaze in sunset golds. The inheritance funded our bakery, Harlan's Hearth. A cozy spot in Dumbo slinging Mom's rye loaves and Vic's empanada twists. Dad helped with the books, his ledger skills redeemed. Mason slipped a key into my pocket. Not a ring. Not yet, but a promise. To the apartment upstairs. Our place. I kissed him, deep and sure, the river whispering approval. Mom's locket hung around my neck, her love, unhidden now, a steady hum. Life wasn't perfect. Betrayals leave echoes, conflicts scar. But in the American grain, resilient, romantic, we forged ahead. Two men, a fractured family mended, baking bread from broken crusts. And in that, a quiet triumph. Love, unapologetic, enduring.